This is Aaron with the Card Swap, and welcome to our first card battle. We've got Tom and Zach joining us in the Battle of Boston. They're two huge Red Sox collectors. It'll be great to see what cards they have stashed in their PC. I've given them 7 categories of cards to pick their favorite from. They'll go head-to-head, showing us each card from that category. From there, once they've shown us everything they've got, I'll have a blog post with a poll for each round where everyone can vote. And after the voting's done, the winner will get the Red Sox in the future break. So let's get on with it. We're going to introduce Tom and Zach. We've got Tom on the left and Zach on the right. Hello, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
Welcome. So let's start with Zach. Zach, when did you get into collecting?
So I collected back in the day, probably early 2000s, and then, like most of the world, I fell out of it, but then COVID brought me back into it, and I've been collecting ever since.
That's awesome. It's amazing what COVID has done to the hobby, especially because you can still see the effects from COVID, even though it's not really an issue anymore. You can see everything that it's done to influence the hobby since then. It's absolutely crazy, but...
The one thing I wish I was around for the cheaper boxes.
Man, when I first started doing these breaks, it was... Going back, I recently went back, it was like, 5 years ago, seeing some of the boxes and the mixers that we were putting together. Since then I've kept the breaks about the same size, but the prices have just gone straight through the roof. Is crazy.
Yeah.
Seeing like Topps Finest used to be $100 box.
Would have been nice to take part in that.
Yeah. But at the same time, there wasn't you couldn't sell the stuff for the same that you can now. So there's definitely a give and take there, which isn't always bad, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, when you could walk and drop $300 or $400 but come home with 2 or 3 hobby boxes, that's the big difference.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you could have been back then collecting and then get all that stuff and then have it now, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
That Otani stuff. So let's move over to Tom. Tom, what's your origin story?
Started collecting, I'd say, right around 2004, 2005. Kind of on and off, throughout the years. And like Zach, picked it up right before the pandemic. And been going pretty hard at it ever since.
So since you've come back, or even if you remember back when you first started, what was your favorite set, Tom?
I think I'm definitely starting to come around to a lot of the Chrome sets. Always loved Stadium Club, but really I think Flagship has to be my favorite.
Flagship's just there's always seems to be some value in there, especially now with the parallels holding more value. And they've done a good job of adding more stuff to the product, I think, too.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's a timeless set.
Yeah. Zach, what about you? What's your favorite set?
Yeah, I actually agree. I tend to like the Flagship sets, but if I had to pick something else, I actually have really enjoyed Finest the past couple of years.
Finest is probably my favorite box to open, just in general. Everything about it I like. Bowman's Best is a very close second.
Yep.
And they're very close sets. But Finest is just, yeah, I agree. That's one of my favorites. Stadium Club, I think, is always my favorite, just because, well, my origin story, I'm a lot older than you guys. So I started in the 80s and then was there in the early 90s when all this stuff really started coming out. So seeing Stadium Club from the beginning, that always just stuck with me. And my dad and I collected the whole Stadium Club football set, the first set that had Emmitt Smith and Brett Favre. Hey, we got a Brett Favre mention. All right, let's move on. Zach, do you remember your first big card?
Well, maybe not huge. It's certainly not an expensive card, but my first ever hit, I actually have it right in front of me. It's this Ken Griffey Jr. game-worn jersey from, I think it's 2005 Upper Deck. It was my first real hit.
Wow, that's just perfect.
Ever. Yep. Just buying packs in high school, just buying packs, and this was the first real thing that I ever opened. Griffey is a red.
That's awesome. Got a pinstripe and everything. I love it.
Yep.
I saw Griffey play one game in Cincinnati, and he hit a ball so far, like, I'll never forget it. It was just amazing. And to watch it in person, it was so cool.
That's still my era. That early 2000s.
Yeah.
I love that era. Basically.
Tom, what about your first big card? Or big hit, or memorable? Anything memorable. It doesn't have to be valuable or anything.
My first memorable card, I actually picked up when I was a lot younger at a flea market. It's a Upper Deck Octi patch. It's a two-sided patch card with Lester, Ortiz, Beckett, Veritek, Manny, Uke, Lowell, and Papelbon.
Well, number one, the fact that I just brought this on you guys, and the fact that you guys have both of them right there is awesome. But man, that card is really cool, and I wish they did more of that.
Yeah, it's one of the best parts of Upper Deck, and even came with like a little 8-swatch memorabilia authentication card.
Wow.
And
yeah, that's
too much like it.
Pretty cool. Yeah, you don't see stuff like that anymore. I find it really cool when I find an old auto or something that's got an actual certificate like that with it.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, well, you guys want to get ready to card battle? No, I'm sorry. Sorry, that's my bad. We won't do that again.
Alrighty. My favorite Big Papi card is a 2021 Stadium Club Rainbow Foil. Just love Stadium Club, love this image. When I think of David Ortiz, I think of the one-handed ending to a swing after launching a home run to right field, and I think it's just a classic.
Is that a throwback jersey?
Let's see.
Or is that a special jersey? It doesn't look like they're normal.
Yeah, the lettering on it makes me think it might be a throwback.
Huh.
I've honestly never even noticed that before.
That's pretty cool. And those are numbered, right? 15?
25. 20 of 25.
I'm awful.
It gets tough with the number.
Yeah. I swear one year they were 15. Alright, Zach, let's follow it up with your favorite Papi.
So I actually also went Stadium Club. I went 1 year later, 2022. Just iconic image. When I think of David Ortiz, think of this moment, being from the Boston area. It's a sepia refractor from 2022 Stadium Club when he's giving this speech after the marathon bombing.
I love that moment. I've never been a Red Sox fan or a Papi fan, but when he did that, I was like, I'm even getting goosebumps thinking about it now. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Alright, we're going to move on, and Zach, you can lead us off for this round. How about your favorite Rafael Devers?
Alright. I know what I'm up against since I saw it in the top 10. So this was my punt. Realized I don't have much Devers, but this is a 2023 Heritage actually. It is the Clubhouse collection, but the reason I chose it's the City Connect jersey, and that's one of my PCs is the Red Sox and City Connect jerseys. So an actual game used jersey from that.
That's pretty cool, and I think that's a really cool like secondary PC to go after that City Connect stuff.
Yeah, and it's kind of an easier one too, since a lot of the newer cards have, like, I think there was a Jeter Downs auto you pulled the other day too that had the City Connect so.
Yep. Alright, Tom, You want to get this one over with?
I will.
There it is.
The Rafael Devers Ben Baller Super Auto.
One of one. That's awesome.
One of one. Can't beat it. Gold vinyl, autograph, and just love the fact that I hit it in a random divisional, which makes it that much sweeter for me.
Yeah, that was cool. That's one of my favorite things, especially in a random break, when a breaker gets their team and then gets a big hit. It happened recently with Phil A. It was a serial number break, and he hit a nice Volpe auto and ended up getting that, which was... So I love those stories. And that was a bonus hit that we were not expecting. That was a fun one. That's made some of my graphics, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Tom, you want to kick us off for round 3? And this one's going to be your favorite Red Sox pitcher card.
Sure. I don't have too many Red Sox pitcher. I have some Pedro, but decided to go with a card I personally pulled from Bowman, a Tanner Houck rookie auto, green parallel 99. Hoping he comes back a little stronger. He's been pretty solid for us, but I think just a great looking card. Besides red parallels, I love the green refractors and green parallels as well.
I'm just glad to hear you say his name and know that I've been saying it properly, because that was always one that I've wondered. And we won't discuss the questionable signature as to what that looks like, so. All right, Zach's next up with his Red Sox pitcher.
So I went with one that you actually recently opened for me. It's 2023 Topps Finest, Brian Bello, Black Red Vapor, 10 out of 10. This kid is electric, and hopefully he can just stay healthy, and he should be the next Red Sox great pitcher, hopefully.
That's awesome. I love seeing pitchers come up and do what they're supposed to do like that. And it seems like there's more and more of them doing it these days.
Yeah.
Oh, baby Pedro.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, we're going into round 4, and Zach's going to lead us off with his favorite former Red Sox.
So I had to go with the 2014 short print Mookie Betts rookie smiling. Just love this card. It's one of my favorite in my PC. Biggest mistake was letting Mookie go, but this card is just fantastic. I love everything about it.
I like Mookie. It's hard not to like Mookie. He's always got that smile on his face, and just there's something like underestimated about him. Like you kind of look at him and you I don't know, there's just something that he performs and you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, and I don't know how else to explain it.
Yep. Now he's playing second base too, all over the field.
Yep.
Fantastic.
I have a cool story about some Mookie Betts cards and Stadium Club. So in 2014, when Stadium was re-released, I was buying a lot of hobby boxes, and back then they were little, they were mini boxes, like Finest almost. And I pulled, so I think it was either 3 or 4 autos per box, and 2 autos in that box were Mookie rookie autos. Which at the time, like, we had heard of him, but we didn't know what he was going to turn into, and unfortunately I don't have either.
Yeah, and he only signed his rookie year, right?
Yeah. Yep. So he's always one, though. I know I said I'm not a huge Red Sox fan, but he was always one I rooted for, and probably more so now that he's in LA, but I think that's a great choice. That'll be tough to beat. Tom, what do you got for us for a former Red Sox?
For my former Red Sox, I went with a Xander Bogaerts rookie, red parallel, think it's from the Target Blasters, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
They're the older Target boxes.
Yep.
I'm sure I speak for both me and Zach that this is definitely one of the sore picks for us, just because, I mean, both these guys were great Red Sox that I don't think any of the fans want to see go.
They did have a really special team back then.
Oh, yeah.
Just didn't want to sell out to keep them.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on. Tom's going to lead us off for round 5 with a favorite insert.
For favorite insert, I went with the classic Beam Team, but this is from 2022 Stadium Club. I really like a lot of the older Beam Teams as well, but this just happens to be one I have with Rafael Devers, green parallel to 99. I think it's just a really cool insert, and you get all the stars and rookie stars on it as well.
Yeah, Beam Team is my favorite insert, and again, I think that's going back to seeing it from the beginning. Actually, my first Beam Team card was a Michael Jordan Beam Team when it was the first year of them, and it was him with 2 others. I want to say Reggie Miller was one of them. I still have the card. But to see it over the years has been cool, and I will say, though, since 2014, there's been some hit and miss years, but the last couple of years have been good, I think.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And I think with the introduction recently of Stadium Club Chrome, it's definitely cool to have them like kind of a chromium version as well.
For sure. I think that if they're going to do that, they need to keep the chrome out of the base set and maybe make the base set cheaper or something. I don't think that both sets need the chrome. It confuses things a lot.
Definitely.
Alright, Zach's up with an insert.
So I went a little bit older. I used this recently in the scavenger hunt, but it's the 91 Fleer Green Monster Friend. I think was it Provisions, I believe?
Yep. So cool.
Insert. Got the Green Monster. It's Mike Greenwell. Green Monster in the background. It's just an awesome looking card.
I gotta be totally honest, I've loved this card. I remember this card. Never put it together that was a Green Monster. Never got that. I appreciate that information.
Just an awesome looking card, in my opinion.
Alright, we've got 2 rounds to go, and these, we're going to switch it up a little bit. The next one's going to be your favorite non-Red Sox auto. And Zach's going to go first this time.
So I went with a Celtics legend. We got Larry Bird on-card auto from 1920 Panini Revolution. Obviously, Larry Bird, all-time great. Celtics autos are actually probably one of my primary PCs, that and Barry Zito. But this is just one of the first big cards that I ever purchased, and no regrets. I think this card just looks beautiful.
That is beautiful, and I love Revolution. I think Revolution's a sweet set.
Yeah, I ended up getting my Tatum and Brown are also from Revolution. I agree. It's just,
nice.
They have some nice looking cards.
That is very sweet. All right, Tom, what do you got to come back against the Larry Bird auto?
This is actually going to be my punt round as well, but I'm going to go with some football. My second PC to my Devers and Red Sox PC is James White for the Patriots, and I went with his, I believe it's 2014 Topps Chrome camo rookie auto, back when Topps was still doing football.
Yeah, there's so many things I love about that card, with it being Topps Chrome, the camo on card. That's beautiful. I think that's probably my biggest hope, is that with Fanatics doing everything that they're doing to create a monopoly, is that in some way maybe Topps Chrome will be able to do football again. Like, maybe everything will get so convoluted that Topps Chrome would be, Topps will be able to do football stuff again. whether it's just because Fanatics owns everything and they can use whatever name on whatever they want. But I hope that maybe that's coming up.
I agree. Especially if they get back into Topps Chrome for basketball and football, I think that'll get me back into those sports a little bit more.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's awesome. All right, and we're into our final round, and Tom is going to lead us off with his favorite non-Red Sox non-auto.
So I'm going to follow up that James White with another James White. This is a Spectra Relic Championship gear. I think it's a great card for my James White PC with the 3-color patch, the image of him spiking the football in the Super Bowl. Just really kind of a real sweet Patriots card, number to 10 as well, so definitely a looker.
That is awesome, and that's one of those cards that like is made for a one-touch.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and Zach to close us out with his non-Red Sox non-auto.
So I also went with the Patriots. I went with the 2017 Panini Classics. It's Classic Clashes, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, in gold. It's just an awesome card. So many iconic duels between these two, and thankfully more often than not the Patriots came out on top. But
you know, I wasn't a Patriots fan growing up around here with the Bills and stuff, so it was always, and plus I should start this over. I was actually a huge Patriots fan when Bledsoe was there. Then when Brady took over, I ended up going back to the Bills. And
to follow Bledsoe?
Yep. That was like one of the funnest years of football for me, was that year that Bledsoe was good for them. I was elated. That was one of my favorite times in sports. And at the time, I remember this vividly. They got new uniforms, which were hideous, by the way. They got new uniforms that Drew Bledsoe debuted, and then they had swing music was big at the time, and I like to follow trends as much as I can, apparently. So I was into swing music, and they had my favorite swing band at the stadium with Drew Bledsoe debuting the new terrible uniforms. And I just remember they made a huge deal about it, and then they came back and beat the Patriots that first game when we got Ty Law too.
Lawyer Malloy.
You're right. I always confuse those two. That was such a great time, and then it just all went downhill. But the whole reason I brought that up was I still always said Tom Brady I would take him over Manning pretty much any time. Brady did that with, I know he had Belichick, but he did that with very no-name wide receivers, whereas Manning needed to have certain people, certain places, needed all the training. Brady was like, give me whatever 3 dudes can run patterns and I'll make it work. It helped when he had Randy Moss, but I mean, he was frustrating to watch, because then at that time, then I moved on when the Bills, this is how terrible of a fan I am. So when the Bills gave up on Bledsoe to go to Lossman, J.P. Lossman, I was like, well, I'm never watching the Bills again. Became a Ravens fan, and then the Ravens ended up having a really good rivalry with the Patriots. So, I got to see a lot of Tom Brady. All right, guys. Well, I think that does it. I'll get everything posted up on the blog with the polls for each round. We'll put it in the hands of the internet, I guess, and see who wins a spot in a future break for the Red Sox. You guys, thanks so much for doing this. I think it went really well. We're going to build on this and hopefully do it more often. So if you're interested and have a friend that you'd like to card battle with, let me know.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Sounds awesome.
Thanks, everyone.